threaded, the last thing we need to do is tie a knot. And so there's a couple different ways that we can tie a knot, but before we tie a knot, I want to show you why we need to tie a knot. So I'm just going to grab my fabric here. I'm going to take a stitch from my fabric. You're pulling, and without a knot, it just pulls right through. So you always need a knot in order to make sure that your stitches stays in your fabric. Okay, so to make the simplest knot, what you're going to do is you're going to make a loop with your thread, like so, and then you're going to take this tail and you're going to put it through the loop and pull it tight. Okay, like that. This loop, because our needle is so thick, you can see down here, we want to make a bigger knot than that. So we're going to do that 2 or 3 more times. So when you do that and you're trying to guide it down to this, you want it to land on top, I just kind of hold the loop and push it where I want to, and I'm very slowly tightening that knot until it's in the right spot, and then I can pull it tight. Okay, and that's probably good enough, but just so you can see it again, I'm going to make my loop. I'm going to put my thread through that loop. I'm going to hold the tail, and then I'm very gently making the knot. And now I can sew without my thread coming up. Okay, and then the more complicated but more efficient way of making a knot is you're going to take your needle. So you'll take your needle like this, and then you're going to hold the eye of the needle in between your index finger and thumb like this. Okay, and then you're going to take your end of your thread. So you'll take your end of your thread and hold, like line it up with the eye of the needle. So then you're going to be holding the eye of the needle and the end of the thread like this. Okay, in between your index finger and thumb. So I'm going to take the thread and I'm going to loop it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And then I'm going to push all these loops down. So then you're holding the end of the thread, the eye of the needle, and those loops. And you're not pinching it so hard that they don't move, but you're just holding them in place. Then you're going to grab your needle. Okay, and then you're going to pull, and you're pulling your thread of your needle all the way through, and then at the end you get a nice big knot. Okay, so that's the way I normally do it because I find it fast. It's a little more complicated to do. So now we are ready to sew, and I just want to point out that I have my thread at the bottom is only 1 layer thread, and up here there's the other end of the thread that's loose out of the needle. So when I'm sewing, if I'm not careful, if I keep pulling as I'm sewing, my needle might unthread. So what I like to do is as I'm pulling the stitch out, I'll kind of hook my thread like this around my pinky finger so that I'm not accidentally unthreading the needle as I'm pulling my stitch out. Okay, so next up, I'll show you some stitches.